Aaron, can you hear me all right?
Can you hear me?
There we go.
Took a
Good to
minute.
have you.
Nice. It's tough getting in.
The uh the adjustment on the day I think is causing some errors, but we're all good. Okay, well, I appreciate you joining. I feel like it's been a long time coming, having you jump on one of these and kind of talk through holistically where we're headed. So to kind of intro, Aaron heads up revenue, has his hands in all products, was here from the beginning where everything was just returns and has seen basically every product now go through development stage and kind of like paint the vision of what we're going towards. And so to kick things off, Aaron, maybe give us a brief background on yourself, kind of what brought you to Redo, and then we'll jump into a couple questions that I've got prepped for you.
Cool. Yeah, so I've been at Ryu for 2 years now. Like Brandon said, run revenue and product here. Was at a company called Divvy, which was a fintech company here in Utah. Before that, Divvy was a successful company, had a lot of fun. And when we sold that business, knew that wanted to go be a part of another opportunity like this. And so Redo kind of came along. I've always thought the e-com space is really interesting, as a shopper, and yeah, so I've been at it for 2 years, and it's been a lot of fun.
Amazing. Amazing. We are now in the double digits in products that we're offering. And so as you've been here and you've seen the growth of all of them, I'm curious to hear from your perspective, like a walkthrough of how the vision's evolved from when you started in being a return software to where we are now.
Yeah, it's a good question because a lot of it is actually like similar to what we always thought, and a lot of it, some of the details have changed along the way. We always knew that there was this opportunity for consolidation. When we kind of started evaluating Redo, just talking to e-commerce brands like here in Utah, and some that we knew, there were lots of, we saw that there were lots of apps to control it. It was a big, painful thing to manage all the apps for these e-commerce brands because, they run lean. We also saw that there was like data silos that were happening, that you could provide a different experience for your customers. And that's always the thing that we've, kind of held on to, is like, okay, how do we, one, make it like cleaner and more efficient to like run the customer journey, but then two, how do we unlock some of those data silos that happen that allow for a better customer journey just overall to begin with. And so we always had that as the, underlying vision of this. What's changed is, like, as AI starts to get bigger and you see like there's this opportunity for personalization, and you can use AI to do a lot of the things that were in our vision. That has changed. Some of the tools that we thought we might build, 2 years ago, we've kind of prioritize them in different ways. And that's come as a result of listening to customers and understanding the market and seeing where things are headed, and what are the challenges that people are facing, and where's their opportunity. But I do think the overall vision has always been there, that like there's this platform opportunity where if you can consolidate some of these tools, you can create a customer journey that is different, right, than most people are offering today, and it's a little more seamless.
For sure. I feel like there's a lot of movement towards consolidation. And I'm sure like a follow-up question that I was going to have that you kind of touched on a little bit, but maybe we take a dive into is, as you've had conversations from 18 months ago to now, how have those conversations changed as AI has come into the mix, and has it pushed it a little bit more towards consolidation because of this AI wave that kind of is sweeping across ecom right now?
Yeah, 100%. Like I said, traditionally e-com's a space where like margins are thin. There's, they run lean. And so AI is doing, I think, a couple things that are interesting in the e-com space. One is you can be more efficient by using AI to run certain processes and things that before, like, you had to have a lot of manpower behind, right? So like you think like an obvious one is customer support tickets, and
Yeah.
um, what kind of happened there. And a lot of people are now using AI and agents to respond to tickets, and you can get like 60% resolved, without involving a person, and that saves a lot. So you can kind of re-resource those people to grow the business. So it's changed from that standpoint, but also it's presenting both like challenges and opportunities, and how do you bring awareness to your brand, and how do you deliver a customer experience. Last week, OpenAI releases the new agentic shopping experience. And while it's a small sliver today, like you can see that world continuing to get bigger as e-commerce did, I don't know, 20 years ago, right? You start to see like the beginnings of something that will get bigger and bigger. And so just staying on top of like where the trends and where the world is going and what's not going to change, and having some predictions about what is going to change, it has changed some of the strategy. We started to focus on obviously like AI and customer support a couple of years ago, and then now there's some like GEO optimization. All that is kind of come along the way as a result.
Yeah, kind of walk us through the product roadmap, I guess, and how that all fits in, right? Because it was returns and exchanges. We went to claims, package protection, looped in warranties, and kind of like then started to roll into a lot more spaces, adding customer support. And so kind of walk us through how that vision and like why we went the way that we did with introducing new products into the market.
Yeah. So we really thought with AI, two things, there's a couple things that are really important to be able to knock out, like, okay, how do I deliver a personalized experience and how do I really leverage AI to the maximum extent possible? When you think about like, for the longest time, everybody's been trying to deliver a personalized experience to their customer. And what does that mean? I want to hit the right customer with the right message, the right product at the right time, right? Well, if you think about, okay, that sounds cool, but there's some challenges with that. One, you have data silos where one tool knows this data about a customer, another tool knows, another thing about that customer. And there's no like incentive to bring those together. And then two, the manpower to go like set up personalization was just obviously very difficult. And then the third is, if you could do those two things, what are like the delivery mechanisms? What are the tools that actually enable, that to happen? And so when we started thinking about it, it's like, okay, what are the channels that these brands own, where they start to get data points on a customer that are interesting. And so that happens in like returns, that happens in order tracking, obviously support tickets, email, SMS, there's some stuff shopping on the site. And then kind of separately from that is like, okay, how do we get information on the products? And that happens in, order management, inventory management systems. And so what's fascinating is those first tools, they come together to create like the customer record, right? And what's interesting about this is I can now get a holistic view on a customer to see, hey, they're engaging with this product and order tracking emails. And so when they go to make a return, maybe I can recommend that product, and my product recommendation, is better for that customer. Obviously, I know their return rate, so I might message to them differently, or honestly, like not message them at all, right? And so there's some obvious things that having that data and then using AI to enable, like grabbing that data at the right time is super powerful. And then when you put that together with the product record and you start to understand like, hey, this is a product that has a higher return rate, so maybe I don't want to market it as strongly as this other one that has a low return rate. And you can, again, use AI to drive like, okay, what's the right product? What's the right message, right time to a customer? That's how we've thought about it and gone about it. And that's how we've ended up prioritizing like, okay, these are the things we need to ship along the way.
Yeah,
Right.
I love it. I mean, it feels like years ago, probably teams sitting in front of whiteboards mapping this out on like the ideal state, right? Where we don't want to send emails to people that are high return customers because we end up losing money on them, or we'd love to be able to match if someone bought this pair of pants and we know it goes well with this shirt and they abandoned cart with this shirt, can we just pair it with the pant? Like stuff that marketing teams would want to do, but just didn't really have the ability to go and do it. And if they did, they're trying to stitch things cross product and cross platforms to try and make something happen. And so it's exciting now. Like, one, you don't have to have a person dedicated to tying all the things together, right? But it just all is flowing into a single space and then intelligently going and recommending the different pieces. And so I think that's a very exciting piece.
Yep, 100%. And I think that's what it boils down to. You talked about the time, like you just can't hire enough people. You don't have enough time in the day to understand how you should do it. And so that's what's cool about this new world is there's now technology that if you can get the data in the right way and kind of build the strategy around how this should work, then it can start to deliver what all these e-commerce brands want to deliver, which is a really cool personalized experience, where I'm meeting Brandon where he is at the right time. So
Yep. Yep. That's great. Can you give us a couple examples of some merchants that are on Redo that are kind of seeing some of that synergy cross product and being able to see some wins based off of having things consolidated across products?
yeah. Yeah, so there's a couple that come to mind. We have a merchant who, we have AI SMS for like a cart abandonment flow, for instance, right? And there's a boutique actually here in Utah who uses that flow, and that flow takes into account shopper history. Obviously, it takes into account what they have looked at and put on their wish lists, or they've looked at in an order tracking email, and what they've returned. And AI delivers actually a one-to-one message. So every message is different, right, for their customers when you have a cart abandonment happen. And what's interesting is like if you look at like how it was previously done, everybody's getting the same message, or at least like some version of it, and it's very like basic. It's like, hey, you left this in your cart. Sometimes there's a discount, whatever, right? We A/B tested that flow, so the AI versus like their traditional, hey, you left something in your cart flow, and it converted 80% higher on those cart abandonments than the existing flow, because like you're just talking, it's subtle things, right? But it's like, hey, you had the sample, hey, this would look good with what you bought previously, and like the customer feels like they're like really being messaged, and it's personalized to them, right? So that's one example. The other, with our returns product, understand, like I said, the product data. We understand why they're returning the item and this customer history. And we've had brands that have switched over, from the other players in the space, and their exchange rate will increase by like 20% plus. I think the average across our merchants is 17%,
Mhm.
7.2 if you're getting super specific. Because when they say, hey, I didn't like this thing because it, wasn't my style. Well, we know like, okay, this is their other products, and these are the ones that are different. And we know like what the customer has bought in the past that they haven't returned. And so we're recommending, like a good, salesperson in a store would do, like, hey, okay, you didn't like this one. It was too big. Great. Here's the smaller size. Or this one wasn't your style at all. What about these things? These are a little bit different and kind of more your taste, right? So those are a couple of cool examples that we've seen.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. This idea of being able to have almost a personalized shopper with you at every touch point, right? Then you go back and you revisit the site and you get a little pop up in the corner that's like, "Hey, Aaron, welcome back. How you enjoying the shorts? Like the shorts that you bought. Here's another shirt that just went on sale that pairs well with it. Do you want us to throw that in the cart for you?" And you
Yep.
can create some like very cool experiences where it feels like you walk back into a store that you go to frequently. They know you by name. They know what your size is. They know what you like, what you don't like, and so it's a very cool experience. Awesome.
Yeah,
So
100%.
as you look towards the future, we've kind of like teased about it a little bit, this personalization at scale, the ability to consolidate in one platform. But as you look at like we have this conversation a year from now, what gets you most excited to then talk about what we built or you have on the horizon?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot there, but honestly, it's really like fine tuning this experience. We're in the early innings with what AI can do, and these tools. You have to spend a lot of time like working to make sure that it has the right amount of power to influence like what's happening, and not like go crazy with it. But what I'm most excited for is, I think that just like helping brands, what's so cool when you talk to like brand owners is there's so much pride in, I have this brand, I have this product, I created it. And like, I just want the story and everything to kind of match like my vision. And I think that this new world, the technology that we're creating along with AI, will allow brand owners to have like full autonomy and control over like, okay, I want to deliver the personalized experience. I want to create the strategy. I want to, kind of train it up. So it's like an extension of that founder, right? The brand owner. So that's high level. I think some of the products that are interesting, I think, in the marketing side, being able to deliver personalized messaging and, product recommendations and all that. We're in the very beginning stages of that, but it'll just get better and better, and conversion will get better. And, some of the challenges of e-commerce, like it's been harder and harder to acquire customers,
Yeah.
over time. Like you just see the cost of customer acquisition go up, the ROAS going down, right? All those things. And I think that there's an opportunity for some brands to really separate themselves in the new world by delivering like personalized experiences.
I think it's exciting to think about like what brands are going to be able to accomplish in the future. And this idea of as a brand owner, you never really get into it stoked to go close 150 tickets in a day. Like that's not why you got into it. You got into it because you want to build an amazing brand. You want to make great products. You want to be able to like inspire people and do different things. And if you can do that at scale without getting dragged into kind of the tiny minute details that go into every piece of it, and AI can handle a lot of that, then
Right.
allows you to be more creative and to be more focused on just brand building and creating a very custom experience that you want to deliver. And so I'm excited to see how creative people can get if they can offload some of the operational pieces to an AI.
Yeah, and I think what's interesting about what you just said is like no marketer, no owner, no ops person sits there and dreams about responding to 150 tickets, but they do still want like their brand and their personality to come out in those tickets, and so sometimes they feel the need to, right?
Yep.
Because that's what it takes to go do it, and this allows you to scale that personality, that brand out to the public in a way that you're getting like the best of both worlds, which is fun.
Yeah. Very exciting stuff. Okay. Well, Aaron, I appreciate the time. Anything, final thoughts, anything on the horizon that you want to touch on before we wrap up today, or any questions that we have from anybody that's joined us this morning?
Yeah, I mean, my last thing would just be like, I think my, redo, we're like committed to being on, the cutting edge of like where the future is going with tooling and AI. And as a brand owner, that's something that I would be, just very keen on. Like these updates are coming from OpenAI, from there's the tools. It's like, how are the tools you're using leveraging AI to deliver, the experiences, to deliver efficiency for your brand, to help you forecast and finance better? And I think that there's some really cool stuff coming out in that world. And so just be on the lookout for those things, whether from Redo or just in general.
Yep. Okay. Good stuff. Thanks again, Aaron. Appreciate it. We'll run it back in a couple months and see where we're at.
Sounds good. Thanks, Brandon.
Okay. Thank you.